Hey guys, we are late. We're just waiting for people to funnel on in. So let's cue the music. And we're live. That's my cue to Laura. All right, we can go ahead and kill it. All right, since we are late, we can't let the music roll like that. Welcome to Inside the Numbers, folks, with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, People's Pundit. Don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them and share them far and wide. My kid came in and knocked the camera off, so if you are watching on vertical on the screen, I didn't ask Laura to fix it. I tried to fix it myself, and very clearly, I didn't do a good job. So this is why you do it, and I don't. All right. But in any event, let's get into some polling. And there is some news going on right now. So, of course, I have to talk about it because I do think that it's actually a big part of what's going on and why we're seeing the polling that we are seeing. This is a good move by the president. And despite a whole bunch of stupid neocon rhinos trying to destroy the fifth Republican presidency in my lifetime that they have destroyed, he is doing this, which is the right call. Americans did not elect Donald Trump to be a cheerleader for a cokehead, cross-dressing criminal in Ukraine. Nobody gives a shit about Vladimir Zelensky anymore. And before you all get your flags in your Twitter accounts and unfollow me, which I couldn't care less about, and go on the attack, I'm going to show you a cautionary tale for what happens when you do that and you don't listen to the needs of the American people. Israel has taken what is massive is not even the word. They have taken, I have no other word to use, but this word. They have taken a massive hit in public opinion. And by the way, I'm not the only one polling this right now. We'll just be the first one to show you our results. But I know others who are polling it as well. And we had a grand old laugh about it last night, frankly, because it's sad. From the very beginning, those of us, my co-host on What Are the Odds, Barnes, this is a guy who debated Nick Fuentes, the pro-Israel position. He debated Nick Fuentes, and somehow Barnes went from being the pro-Israel position who can debate the Groyper to an anti-Semite in a flash because he didn't support regime change, because he didn't want the president to bomb Iranian's nuclear facilities and risk escalating the conflict. If you look at the polling at the time, two things were very clear. The war drum polling is always wrong. For somebody who's experienced and has lived through a bunch of these and has been a pollster through a bunch of these, you know that there are other questions to ask to cut through it all, to cut through the war drums, to cut through the rally around the flag effect, which everyone in this business knows is not real. There are a number of questions that you asked to get true sentiment. And we asked them. And it was very clear that Americans did not want to risk escalating anything in the Middle East for Israel because, frankly, they felt Israel was stealing their moment in the sun. This was their presidency who was elected to deal with their needs. And this is how it goes. You get a peak presidency of about 9 months. If you're lucky, you get a honeymoon period of 100 days. And if you don't get things done in that time, they normally just don't get done. And Americans were not willing to sit around and deal with that this time, guys. They weren't. The pro-Israel position did not listen, and they didn't want the bomb. They didn't just want to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities. Nobody was falling for it this time. That's another thing the polls showed. Nobody was falling for it this time. Everybody knew what their real aim was. And we know this. I mean, people, this is a lie to pretend like, oh, that's all they want. It's not. They had been lobbying Donald Trump to regime change in Iran since the end of January, ramped it up in early February. Things were going well for the American voter. Neocons can't stand that. God forbid there's a president who deals with the needs of the American voter for once. And they put themselves above the American voter. They put their needs and what they wanted before the needs of the American voter. And this was not the wise thing to do, because this has been the trend. What I'm going to show you in a second has been a trend for a while. Israel has been the sympathy question, which Gallup has long asked, been decades. The sympathy question, Gallup said, do you have more sympathies toward Israel? Do you have more sympathies toward the Palestinians? Do you have neither or both, right? This has been trending away from Israel for many, many, many years. In the last one we did, I think it was like Israel plus 15, and it had gotten so close. I'm not saying the Palestinians got a huge bump from this. In our polling, sympathies toward the Palestinians did not result in like increased support for Palestine. What we did see was American frustration casting them both aside. And Israel collapsed. And we asked another question, which I thought would be productive in order to elicit how Americans really feel about what's going on. And I think Israel failed to understand, and Fox News failed to understand, that people are on TikTok now. People are on Instagram now. People are on X now. People are on the internet now. Young people do not get their news from Fox News, who whitewashes shit all throughout the day. They're not listening to that. So when they go on and say, what are you talking about? It's not a policy to starve the people in Gaza. They can go online and listen to the defense minister say, yeah, it's our policy to starve the people of Gaza. Like, and then you call anyone who calls out your BS, you call them an anti-Semite. And you have people like Mark Levin and the rest of them attack everybody. Now, Megyn Kelly's an anti-Semite. Like, where does this end? They didn't argue their position. They attacked everybody. I got called a Jew hater in my feed every day, right, Laura? Mm-hmm. Every day, no matter what I tweeted, underneath it was, okay, Jew hater. This went on for weeks. It's called Hasbara, by the way. It is a social media strategy, a propaganda strategy. I know the pollster who told them to do this. It was an unwise decision. And now I did the math last night when we were looking at it. If we just looked at the age trends, because what happened is very simple, and we've gone over this a million times. If you are under the age of 50, you don't support Israel the way that prior generations have. You just don't. You don't take their side instantly against the Palestinians. You don't have a sympathy toward them the way that Ziocons had ingrained that position since they were able to turn Ronald Reagan in the 80s. And then up until, the war on terror changed a lot of this. And then the right becoming a part of that was a huge change. And they should have acknowledged it. And they should have realized attacking doesn't work. Bullying doesn't work. Browbeating doesn't work when you're in the minority. That only works if you're the majority and you're browbeating a smaller group of people or a weaker faction. You can't intimidate people when you are the minority. And that's what happened. And I did the math. If we just looked at the age as assuming that the trend didn't slow down or speed up, in order to get to where we are tonight, you would have had to wait 8 years without anything, all said and done. 8 years. And they managed to accelerate. This tactic has backfired so spectacularly that they managed to accelerate an a trend that should have taken 8 years to get to this point in 60 days. 60 days. And it's honestly coming a lot from Republicans who they're over it. They're just over it. All right, we'll look at the collection, the last, 1,000 or something like that. All right, so what you'll see here real quick, and I'll show you this. I have the likely voter screen on. I can turn it off in a second. But, I mean, remember, locals, you know the deal here. None of this is weighted. It is pretty representative. We'll look at some of the demographics. There are some questions I don't want you to see yet, and there are some questions you just can't see. So I'm going to play a little, jumping around here. This is a sample, and I'll just show you. This sample is an R plus sample nationally, which as it should be. By the way, I don't know how pollsters are getting D plus anything. Oh, I know how. They just registration. Democrats still have an advantage, but in identification, they do not. All right, and not in our polling. And we've been very consistent. There's no response bias. I've heard all the excuses. Literally, you're talking to the guy who developed the methodology to guard against response bias, to bring the polling industry into the modern era. We literally pioneered the data collection modes that are required in order to do that. The AP then adopted it, and it is the methodology of the AP Votecast. I don't know who you think you're talking to. If there was a response bias, you would see it in recall to vote. You would see it in education. You would see it in geography and other things that we've talked about ad nauseum forever. It's not there. There is no response bias. It's a very representative sample. Anyway, we have 37.9 to 35.9. with only 22.9 being independent and 3% being something else. That's almost perfect. It's that's a great partisan identification. When we remove the likely voter model, it'll just tick it down a little bit, but you still have roughly the same spread. I think it's worth saying something here. The likely voter model ticked up to 32.4 for conservative. When we take it off, it falls to 29. Conservatism as an identification is completely collapsing. We're going to collect another 1,000 today. When I add them together, then we'll see where we're at. But conservatism is on the way down. It just is. Liberal appears to be slightly on the way back up. The only thing stopping it from climbing higher is how Democrats perceive what it means to be liberal. And that's a problem. We've been doing the Republican identification question now longer than anybody. Whether you identify as somebody who's America first or you identify as a traditional Republican. And you can see that this is getting wider and wider and wider. America first is going to get into the 60s very soon. All right. And it's being driven by young people who say they are moderate, but Republicans, and they call themselves America first. The traditional Republican will be probably 20% within 6 months. I don't know. If this keeps up, it'll probably be nothing. I don't know. We'll see. This is independent align. As you can see here, independents, they're pissed, guys. They're mad at Republicans. They're mad at the incumbent party. 28% of independents we were able to get to identify more with the Democratic Party. Only 21% with the Republican Party, 24%, which is your true part of your true independent, say they're equally aligned. And then the rest of that is 27% that say they share little in common with either. All right, but move down here. This is what I want you to see. This is the latest number too. So maybe it changed a little bit since I tweeted it. It looks like it did, but it's generally still on par. This is why so many people can't stand conservatism anymore. What the hell did it conserve? Half the Democratic Party identifies as a socialist. 42% say they're a democratic socialist. The rest just say, oh, I'm a flat out socialist. It's worse when I turn off the likely voter model. The socialism one goes to 7. This is bad. This is really bad. So when I've been warning the right that if you don't deliver, well, first of all, I've been saying it's populism. The only question is whether it's going to be right-wing or left-wing populism. And this is why part of me is so hard on the right. I'm not meant to be anybody's friggin' friend. I'm meant to convey public opinion. But here's the truth. Here's the hard truth. If you fail, this thing's going left and it's going to get ugly. Because Democrats aren't traditional liberals anymore. Look at the percentage of Democrats who say they're a traditional liberal. 27.9%. They're socialists. And we know from polling, same thing is true with the America First designation. We know that the unsure, no opinion, the 1/4 basically that refuses to answer, they say they're unsure and they have no opinion. The problem is they actually do. And they align more with democratic socialists than they do with traditional liberals. So we saw the same thing with America First, where there would be this unsure, no opinion, and that dwindled over time. But that entire time when we were watching it dwindle, we could see that they weren't really unsure. If you ask them a question that is one designed to separate the views, where Republicans traditional, I hate using that word, but that's just the way we can, that's the context we have, the traditional Republican before Trump Republican, they have certain issues that they still agree on, but America First does not. That's why they branched off into being another faction, America First. We could always see that group that said they were unsure agreed almost the same margin as those who say they were America First. That is also the case here with Democrat identification. This is bad. This is really bad. And by the way, we've been polling this for weeks now, and it has never fallen below 40%. Never. So half the party at the very least is a socialist party. So that means the Democratic Party, simple majority, it is a party of socialists. That's where we're at. So you wonder why Mondani can win and win easily. Well, he beat Cuomo in a primary. It's a Democratic primary. If this is the case nationally, what do you think it is in New York City if you ask this question? And it will tell you that the warning I'm giving the right, which is that if you fail, this will end somewhere ugly. You'll get Laura's friend AOC as the Democratic nominee in 24. I'm not in 28. I'm not effing around. And you can laugh all you want, but I am old enough to remember Barack Obama, and they laughed at him.
Oh,
he's no experience. He's a
punk from the where he comes
Chicago, and
Chicago, yada yada.
And
here we are.
Yeah, he hasn't even had a full term as senator, and he's a radical. He had the Weather Underground in his living room. Okay, Sean Hannity, that shit didn't work. How'd that work out? How'd that turn out for you? Especially if Americans are angry that the right did not deliver on their promises. This is a real danger. Speaking of which, here's the likely voter. Look at this. I just sent this right upstairs last night. I did. I was like, they have to see this. From what you have heard or seen, do you believe what Israel has done in Gaza amounts to genocide? Oh my God, it's genocide plus 10. Genocide plus 10. It was 14 last night. Came down a little. No is only 28.6. The problem with this is there's a ton of Republicans who think that Israel is conducting a genocide. They have lost the right.
Well, look at the optics.
And it's just so terrible. I'm sorry. Taking a week to get the remains of somebody that's buried under 5 buildings of rubble is just too long for us. You've broken the peace deal. Now we're killing more people. Bombing a church with Christians in it, including 20 children, probably didn't go over well. And we all know who it didn't go over well with. In fact, one of the last conversations we had. This is bad. I don't know how you fix it. All they had to do was lay low and shut up. Just step back, get rid of the sense, because I'm just going to call it what it is. It's an entitlement. The pro-Israel crowd, especially on the right, has a sense of entitlement. They have been feeling like they're deserved of everyone's immediate attention for years. And when they, you know, I understand after the October 7 attack, they did what they thought they had to do to make sure that they would be protected. And they see Trump as their last chance to implement the greater Israel plan that they know they're never getting with the Democratic president. So they saw Trump as their last chance to do it. That's it. Well, it backfired. Bad. And you can tell that in fact is the case and is what happened. Guys over at the decision desk, I remember them doing this. And I remember before the election, them talking about how much money AIPAC was throwing around. And because you have people like Glenn Beck out there going, it's just, why does AIPAC get picked on? Why does AIPAC? Well, let's not pretend, guys, that it doesn't have to do with the vast amount of money that is spent and the vast amount of foreign aid that is given. I put a tweet out about this the other day. It's dishonest to pretend like poor little AIPAC is getting picked on. Why don't you yell at any, the PACs that are about Turkey and this and that? Okay, guys, like get out of here. Like there is no other PAC that spends that kind of money and then it results in that kind of benefit or return on their investment. It's just not. There's no other one that you can, it's not equitable to another situation. All right. I tried. We put it up. We looked at the top 10 foreign countries that get foreign aid. We looked at PAC spending, and yes, they all of them should be registered as foreign agents. They should. They are not doing, this idea that, they're just a bunch of American citizens. Guys, stop it. Nobody buys it anymore. Nobody. And it doesn't matter anyway. If you're advocating the needs of another nation, you should be registered as a foreign agent. Doesn't matter if it's Israel or who it is. That absolutely should be the case. Ukraine is the number one recipient of foreign aid. And we have fiscal year 23, which is with the shutdown, we're going to have some slowdowns on statistics. But Ukraine got the most, of course. Israel after that. 3.3 billion, Ethiopia 1.8 billion, Jordan 1.6 billion, Egypt 1.3 billion, Afghanistan 1.2 billion, Somalia 1.1 billion, Yemen 1.1 billion, the Democratic Republic of Congo 1.0 billion, whatever, 1 billion flat. The South Sudan 0.9 billion, which is Christian, roughly 60% in South Sudan, and the rest is like traditional religions from Africa and also Islam, of course. Now, we did hear the president talking about something in the Sudan. I guess that's part of the deal from the Saudis to get that investment. I don't know. I wish the president would just come out and say, look, some of this stuff I know you guys don't like, but this was the price of getting them to invest in America, to the tune of whatever $1 trillion. I think he should probably be just better off doing that. But look, then you have something like AIPAC surge after October, after the attack in October. Look at the contributions and the spending. You can clearly see that there was a ramp up. There was, and I get it, self-preservation. And it is their right to play the political game as they see fit. But they should have just waited until the president became, I don't want to say a lame duck, but every president has a honeymoon. Then they have the peak of their presidency, even after their honeymoon. Then Congress goes into the holidays, and the very next year, they will do nothing controversial. They'll work 100 days. That's it. And they will take no controversial votes because they won't risk having it end up in a campaign ad. And they campaign and they fundraise, and that's it. And the rest of it is show vote shit. The rest of it is like, normal process, appropriations that they may need to get done, CRs in our case, because our government doesn't function correctly anymore. They could have just waited until that time, at least until after the holidays. But they didn't. They had to take the spring and the summer. And now we're in the fall. And they still are spending millions and millions of dollars paying influencers to push their shit and attack other people. So look at you now. I don't know what to tell you. Look at you now. The most hateful stuff coming out of longtime friends. This was never going to go over well. And part of it, I think, is unfair. You know what's really unfair? The fact that Likud only represents like 30% of the damn country. What about the other 70% of Israelis? That's who it's unfair to. It's their security that's going to be in doubt now if they become a political pariah. Such a tragedy. This was totally avoidable. I think that ultimately they would have had to deal with the trend, because you can see the one piece of good news is that we have never been that, I don't want to say favorable or unfavorable. Other pollsters have found historically a lot more support for the Palestinians than we have. We've always been like 10, 15% when we first started a poll, and then it got to like 20. I think the highest number we ever got for Palestinian sympathy was like 27%. So the good news is they're not really climbing. It's just that Israel dived 20 points. Look at that. Would have taken 8 years to do this. They dived 20 points. They're going to be overtaken soon by neither. I kid you not. They will be overtaken by neither. I remember when we first started polling this question, that was like 8%. It's now 30%. 30% of Americans just don't care at all, which does make sense. Because if you remember, during the, well, not during, but I guess, yeah, after, before, during, and after, we were polling it all the time. We asked people about the bombing on behalf of Israel and whether or not, what role they believed the United States even should have played in the Middle East. And between 25% to 3 in 10, we're telling us the U.S. should have no role in the Middle East. Who gives a damn about the Middle East anymore? Like, that's, you may think that's unwise, but you can't just ignore 25% to 3 in 10 of the voting population believing that we should have no. Oh, they're isolationists. You can hear Mark Levin now. Isolationists. Calm down, bro. The ticker's going to pop. Take a breath. You have never made the case as to why this should be in Americans' interest at all. In fact, there's an entire debate in realist school of thought. If you are in higher academia or you have studied international relations or security studies, you know there's an entire debate among realists who dominate academia as to whether or not Israel is a benefit or a negative to be in our alliance with them. And these people just act like they don't have to make a case. Like, oh, if you don't support this, you're stupid. If you don't think we should rule the Middle East, you're stupid. Who's stupid now? Look at you now. You can't even get to 35% anymore. I mean, we just polled this during that time period. And in fact, but I can give you the before and after the bombing. Okay. Like, so without any news. And I did check with some other pollsters. They had the same thing after October. If you polled it after the October attack on Israel by Hamas, there wasn't a resurgence of sympathy for Israel. It went into the mid 50s. Even some had it in the high 50s. We did not. It was 54. And then it came back down to normal, where it had been prior. And then after the bombing of Iran, it started to fall again. But it wouldn't have continued to fall like this. It was their strategy to go out and minimize the feelings and the concerns and the views of the American voter. They made a decision to minimize them. And that's what you get. That is what you get. I mean, for the last, 6 months, I have been essentially doing the equivalent of the political equivalent of watching people smash their head against the wall over and over and over again. And then when you try to help them and you're like, stop, you're going to hurt yourself. Stop. they actually attack you and yell at you for it. And that's what I've been doing. That's what it not feels like. That is what I have been doing for freaking months. I'm not doing it anymore. Well, not for everybody and their mother. They're gonna have to learn their hard lesson. You know, I mean, that's it. They're gonna have to learn their hard lesson. All right, this was the July poll, was it not? After the bombing was July, right? I mean, it still was pretty good at that point. No, we didn't do it at that time. Yes, we did. I know we did. It was like 45, 25, 22, something like that. I'm just looking to make sure that I got it right. Meaning 45% sympathies towards Israel with, or 48 or something like that. But now it's down like 20 points. And here we are. That's so bad. I think if there's something that happens, like if there are more of these stories, I think, genocide stories. I mean, I don't know what else to call them. I mean, if there are more of these, I think we're bound to see sympathy for Palestinians rise. I just don't think, I think there's a ceiling on it. And I could be wrong, but I think there's a ceiling on sympathies toward the Palestinians because of their history of violence and because of their unwillingness to try to work toward a two-state solution. But I think that more people are coming to realize now that there aren't, and also I just got to say it out loud. And of course, Americans' aversion to Islam, especially radical Islam. There is I don't want to say the wrong word here, but Americans, a part of America, does have a weariness toward, but because of 9/11 and a whole bunch of other terror attacks, you know, I don't think there's ever going to be, well, not ever, but for a long time anyway, there's never going to be an opportunity for the Palestinians or others to rise to like 45 or majority percent sympathy in this country. I don't see it. Not anytime soon. So what do you do if you're taking this survey and you don't have a sympathy toward, Israel anymore? You're done. You used to once upon a time, maybe even 2 months ago, because a lot of movement happened in 60 days. Remarkable. To lose 18 points of support in 60 days is unbelievable. What do you do if you're one of those people, but you're not ready to sign on to the Palestinian train yet? You say neither. Right? Or maybe both. Maybe there are some Christians who are just like, you know what? I feel bad for both of these people. I guess so. But most of them went to neither. And now we have neither about to overtake Israel for the most sympathy. I can't wait. Gallup's they got to do this. They got to put this out. Gallup's got to put this out real soon. All right. What is it? It's 12:50. It's with subtext. I'm sorry I couldn't get the credit for it. I did want to, while I go and get the most important issues and stuff, I did want to play this clip from Putin. I'm sorry I can't credit whoever the hell made it. I couldn't find the original person. So credit to you since I couldn't find it. All right. This is Putin talking about Trump's 26-point plan, right? And it is 26, if I remember correctly. Am I right? 28. It's a 28-point peace plan. All right. And Putin basically says that it can serve as the foundation for a final settlement to the conflict with Ukraine. All right. Let's play Putin's stuff here. By the way, don't be a stupid neocon. Like, be smart enough to think for yourself and listen to what leaders around the world say, because they just make shit up. Okay. Putin never said that he wanted to conquer all of Western Europe. Putin never said that he wanted to reconstitute the USSR. He hated the Bolsheviks. It's just total lies. I'm not over here cheerleading for Vladimir Putin, but I am cheerleading for the truth. Do your damn due diligence and don't believe the stupid nonsense that comes out of these people's mouths. They're warmongers. They want your kids and they want your kids' kids, and that's all they care about. Moving on.
Мы видим, что после переговоров на Аляске с американской стороны наступила определенная пауза. И мы знаем, что это связано с таким отказом
What'd
Украины
you say
от
about my mother?
предложенного
Just play it.
президентом Трампом плана мирного урегулирования. Полагаю, что именно поэтому появилась и его новая редакция, по сути, модернизированного плана уже из 28 пунктов. У нас этот текст есть. Мы получили его по имеющимся каналам взаимодействия с американской администрацией. Полагаю, что и он может быть положен в основу окончательного мирного урегулирования.
Okay, that's a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. There will be people who will attempt to sabotage this, guys, but that is a big deal. All right. I mean, I don't know what else to say. We'll see what happens, but this is very good for the administration because if they're going to be focused on foreign issues, the president has to deal with foreign policy. I mean, that's like just obvious. But Americans have felt for a while now that he is too focused on foreign policy. I imagine if he ends a war, they'll be just fine with that. Okay. All right. So here is the rank distribution for the month and also that question. I mean, for the week and also that question I was telling you about. I don't suspect this will change. There was another 1,000 sample earlier this week, which, as I sent that up top too. And I could tell what was interesting to me about it is that abortion was about to fall off. So I said, you know what? We're going to need to include more issues because we have to see what's being swapped out. All right. So what is, okay. So if abortion falls out of the top 10, what is replacing abortion? It's this: corruption and accountability. What do you think that refers to? It's Epstein. It's 100% Epstein. And not 100%. Let's say it's 80% Epstein because it's the soup du jour, right? Or it was this week. But there are a lot of things that Americans want to see the administration do to hold people accountable. By the way, it was a huge W changing the CDC website. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, accountability in general is a big deal. But corruption, you remember, guys, Donald Trump actually won the vote after all of the opining and all of the punditry and all of the J6 narrative. Donald Trump went on to win the vote of those who said threats to democracy was their number one issue. What did they perceive to be the threat to democracy at that point, guys? Was it J6? No. An insurrection? No. It was the weaponization of the Justice Department by the Biden administration and Democrats to come after their political opponents. And when people tell you accountability, it's like they mean it. You know, I mean, that's it. But I just caution people, like, look at the judge, the ruling in the Comey case. Like, don't promise people something you can't deliver on, because all you're going to do is get that teapot boiling. And then what do you know? Yeah. You, what? And when it starts screaming at you and you can't friggin' take it off the stove because the handle's too damn hot, right? And you ain't got mitts. You're going to be up shits, dude. All right. And then here's the, oh yeah, we got a ton of these. Oh, I haven't even shown you this yet. We've been doing this. This is new. You haven't even seen the word cloud yet. Oh, I forgot. Locals. Crap. I was supposed to put that up there last night. Oh, all right. My fault, locals. My fault. Yeah, and I'm going to owe them the crosstab on social media usage too. Okay. This needs to be immediately after the show today. Okay. This was looking better. So much so I was even like messaging somebody like, you had it. This is good. This looks better, sir. And then it changed on me because it was at 48 last night. And I'm like, ooh, it's coming down. And then I woke up this morning and there were a couple more hundred done and it was back to 51. And I'm like, So it's still majority, but it's marginally changed. We'll see what it is tonight after tonight's 1,000 interviews are done. But 51.3 is still the percentage of people who say the Trump administration is too focused on foreign affairs and not enough on domestic. Again, it's an improvement, but that's where we're at. Their focus has been balanced is 30.3%. I mean, it's so, guys, this is like really close to what it was last week. I was really hopeful, and I'm like, oh man, it's been at 48 for 2 days. And then it changed. And then it changed. Maybe it was we're going to have to save the people in the Sudan or whatever country. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Stay in America.
Just stay focused on Americans at home. That's it. I don't know what else to say. Only 18% said they've been too focused on domestic issues and not enough on foreign affairs. Like, who are these people? That's the one thing about being a pollster. It's one thing about statistics in general. It's like you always look at something and go, who are these people? You know? This is a word cloud, obviously. Locals, you saw one from somebody last night. That makes up this word cloud. We'll eventually remove articles and common words, phrases, but you can see what people are saying right here. Some of the words on the screen, obviously the biggest one, because he's citing him, is Trump. We're asking people to elaborate on why they chose the answer they did in the prior question. And country is up there. Foreign looks like the second biggest. Look how little domestic is. Job, home, America, problems. I mean, look at this. Time, economy. Other focus. That's both in red. They made that actually may be compounded. That's why they did that. I don't know. But I mean, that's not great. I guess I could show you the generic ballot. Let me just pull this down though real quick so you can't see some of the other stuff because I can't. Can't show it to you. All right. Trump's approval rating actually doesn't look that terrible. I mean, it fell to 43 earlier in the week. It popped back up to 45, and that's where it is right now. I think it's probably going to be 45 to 50, something like that. So, you know, I don't quote me on that. We'll see. I was talking to pollster buddy just earlier, and he was doing approval as well, and he asked me whether or not my undecided for Trump's approval went higher. I mean, it's higher than it was under the second administration, but it's not. It's just it didn't really take that much higher. It's 35. So it's 3.5% undecided. Yeah, it'll be like 50.3. It looks like 50.3 disapprove. Economy approval looks like 46. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's inflation and cost of living that did come up though. It did. Immigration came down a little bit. I don't know why. Foreign policy and national security is probably going to be his strongest one this week, but it just doesn't help you. Republicans are getting shellacked on the generic ballot. I don't even think I want to show that yet. We'll see. I'm going to give Republicans another day, but their lead is at least, Democrat lead is at least 5. It could be upwards of, it could be higher. We'll see. We'll just wait. It's independents. Matter of fact, we could do that. We can look just at how independents are voting. Let's see. That'll show you. Just because that probably will not change all that much. That's Trump's problem, though. His independent number is so bad. It got a little bit better, but 42% strongly disapprove among independents.
I remember also some were ashamed to say that they were Democrat.
That's true. The independents are being packed by Democrats. That's true. Yeah, Laura just reminded me, like, it's like there's like Some are like ashamed to say they're Democrats, or for whatever reason, they don't want to tell us they're Democrats. We know they're Democrats. And they're just saying, no, I'm an independent. So that is true. So with that in mind, keep that in mind when I tell you that Republicans are, oh my God, they're trailing Democrats among independents by 16 points. Democrats are leading among independents by 16 points. Ouch. That's bad. And just so you don't think I'm both BSing you,
Thank you.
okay? Can I show this? I should be able to. Come on. Why is this doing this? Oh, because it's not. Yeah, it shouldn't be full stage. There we go. Bang. Okay. You can't see that. What's God Almighty? There you go. All right. That's disgusting. Yeah. Undecided currently has more independent vote than Republicans do. Undecided. Republicans are battling someone else, third party, for third place. Oh Lord. Oh my God. And here's ultimately the issue when it comes to the midterms. Even if Trump rebounds, it very clearly doesn't mean it's going to trickle down to Republicans. He still is 5 to 7 points higher than Republicans on support all the time. So they are trailing him badly. And he's got to make up so much ground in order to lift them with him. It's a heavy lift, man. It's a heavy lift. Because I don't know if okay. I don't know if that's ever possible. Like, can he even do that anymore? I don't know. Because once upon a time, Americans would sit around and say, I'll give Donald Trump these Republicans because, he'll get them in line. He'll make them do what he's got to do. They'll want to because they're cowards, whatever. Republicans have shown the American voter time and time and again that they don't prioritize them, and not even as much as Donald Trump does. Like, no way. Like, so to them, this doesn't even matter. It really doesn't. Let me just curiously look at something, and I have to remove this from the screen because I'm just curious. If we go with certain to vote, let me just look at something. I have to get rid of all this. Let me just, Republicans first, remove the voter screens, remove vote history. Well, no, I want to see the history, but 6922. Remember that, guys. 6922. Oh my God. Okay, I am going to show you this because it's so bad. Okay. So here is, and I'm trying to keep other stuff away. Here is the a simple question about, are you likely to vote? Now, there's other things now that are going into our voter screen because without it, the third-party vote shares in polling, you've heard other pollsters complain about it too. It's too much. It's too high, right? So there's some other things we're doing. But obviously, we have a vote screen question. Democrats are 78% certain to vote, okay? Republicans are 69% certain to vote. Not great. Not good. That's not good at all. But we know this. And then when we're looking at the generic ballot, for instance, we can tell who is saying someone else and undecided. And yes, we leaned people. We did. Republicans are doing better in the lean this week than they did last week, which was a Democrat 7.8. So the generic ballot will tighten again, but marginally. And the problem is, once we get more into the likely voter screen, getting more strict and beginning to literally constrict to make sure you can't, this far out, you want to cast a big net, guys. You know that. But when we get closer, it's going to help Democrats more. It's going to widen their lead because those people, it will, if this continues, it will, is my point. because those people who choose someone else on the lean or undecided and then refuse to lean and say they won't vote, they're going to be pulled out of the sample. So that's what happens when the screen gets more tight. That's going to help Democrats considerably. Right now, it looks like it helps them by upwards of like 4 points. So, ouch, that's not good. Not good at all. So we'll leave it at that. But it's like, it looks like it's a small 2-point lead until you look at the vote screen and it's a 6-point lead and you realize that all of those other people aren't voting. It's just not good. And that's the worst part about it, is that they certainly do have the numbers. Why is the bus coming so early, honey?
That's Nico.
Oh, it's the big guy. Is he coming right now or no? I thought he had a game. Oh, he's coming. Is he coming right now?
Nico is at school.
So he stays there though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure, family business, family business. All right, so that's that. No bueno. No bueno. Recall vote looks great. Republicans are right direction is 69%, wrong track 28%. We'll see what the right track, wrong track looks like. I'll give you guys this real quick. 52 wrong track, 38 right track, 10 unsure. Trump's probably like 45. It's going to be 45. It's going to be 44.7. And his disapprove is going to be 50.5. Just telling you right now. All right. Yup. There we go. Can't show you all that yet. All that stuff's in the back. Oof. Trying to look for some silver lining here. Not much. It's just not. It's just not. There's nothing. The silver lining is he didn't fall below 43. He fell to 43 and then ticked back up. That's the silver lining. That's about it. All right, it's take your win, take your W. You got to read some of these responses though, locals. We'll have to do a separate video for either. Well, not either. We'll do it for locals, and I think there's a way where I can make it just for like the YouTube guys who, the member guys too. But because I got to figure out how to do that on Rumble Studio, where you can. I think either way, and we'll read through some of those responses. One of them was last night that I put up, was a 35-year-old guy from Sioux City, in Iowa, and yeah, oof. Actually, somebody I know is going to see President Trump today. I gave it to him. I gave him that and a bunch of other stuff. I was like, you give it to him. Give it to him. See what he says. All right. What is today? Friday, right?
Friday. Happy Friday, y'all.
Boop, boop. Stephen Hightower, what the hell is going on with the Comey case? Pam is deliberately effing this ish up. No one is going to jail or being arrested. Good Lord. Like, good Lord. Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to prepare people, Stephen. Like, I don't think they are either. I think, and this is something that the administration knows about. So when, like, I don't know, Svetlana tries to attack me on Twitter over it, I mean, you disagree with Donald Trump because I just heard it out of the horse's mouth. Like, they are well aware that these jurisdictions are fanatical. And from judge to jury, there is what is an ideological corruption of the jury nullification system. Like, it doesn't matter. People are like, oh, it's a slam. And she said, it's a slam dunk case. Then you don't understand what this is, what is going on. It doesn't matter if it's slam dunk. Durham had a slam dunk too. Jury nullification. It's an ideological jury nullification. You don't know what you're talking about. They don't care. They don't care how strong the case is. If it's political in nature, and it's something that's going to benefit Trump, they will let them go. And if it gets through the judge, which this one's, Steve, in this case, having like a hard time even getting through the judge. If it gets through the judge, it still has to make it through 12 liberal fanatics. And again, if you think it's bad that half of the Democratic Party nationwide identifies as socialist, what do you think it is in that district? They're well aware of these things. It's not an easy solution. There is one that I think Republicans could do immediately to deal with the judge end of this. And that is to not be all talk, no action, like Ted Cruz. Somebody came up with a name for him that was just like Tel Aviv Cruz. Don't just sit there and talk. Burn up the phones. Get the votes to impeach these people. And the impeachment of judges was widely used in our history in order to make sure that we had some way to push back against a judiciary that was totally out of control. Hundreds of years of precedent. It's only in the modern era when we suddenly decided judges can't be impeached. Oh, no, they can. And they have been a lot. Go back to that. They have no fear whatsoever. No fear. Make them afraid. Then they'll think twice before they do this. But Ted Cruz is just a shit talker. He's just running his mouth. Ted Cruz isn't serious about anything other than like killing Palestinians. That's the only thing Ted Cruz cares about, which is why he wants to run for president, because he's got no chance to even win his Senate seat without Donald Trump helping him. And thank God, by the way, thank God the president has realized that Cruz is trying to sabotage not only him, but people around him. All these people are like, oh, it's a Barris conspiracy theory that him and Graham and others were blackmailing him for legislation. No, they were. And now the president knows. Ha, ha. Really, guys, you honestly have got to stop. Like, look, I know that most people go around searching for their affirmations, but I'm trying to prevent your heartbreak. You have to stop listening to people that don't have any idea what they're talking about. And they just sit on Twitter all day and speculate about stuff, about things that they don't even know about. I'm like talking to Matt. I'm just going to say, he won't give a shit. I'm talking to Matt Gaetz. And I'm like, what is this dude Shipley's problem with you? Shipwreck crew, right? I'm like, every time someone mentions you or every time you say something, he just goes out and the guy sits there and like talks as if he personally knows Matt Gaetz. And Matt is like, who is this guy? And I'm like, you don't even know who he is? And Gaetz is like, bro, I don't know this guy at all. And I'm like, he supposedly like represented all those J6 people. Of course, they all went to jail, but he represented all those J6 people. And he was like, never met him. Probably lives with Frank Luntz and Kevin in the apartment is exactly what he said, as a matter of fact. He doesn't care. This is a joke, though. And then they sit on Twitter all day and like pretend like they're experts. You're not an expert, dude. Stick to the law, which I'm not even sure you do that well. Just stick to the law. You have no idea about electoral politics. And then other ones who I'm not going to just punch down and like give them any clout whatsoever. They have no idea what they're talking about. They have never spoken to anybody on Capitol Hill or anybody in the White House or nothing. And they talk and act like they do. It's weird. Really weird. And then they're like, I know this. And look, I told you this is what Trump was thinking. Okay. Because I can tell you for a fact that's not at all true. Or Trump was planning this, man. You can tell by what he tweeted on Post 4D Chest 4 months ago. No, he just had lunch with a certain somebody yesterday, and that guy was persuasive. And Donald Trump goes with his gut. That's how he makes decisions. All right. It's just wrong. Yeah, it's the Epstein files. And then you had this horseshoe thing. Like, what? Horseshoes and this and that, man? Like, no. Take that horseshoe and stick it where the sun don't shine, because you have no idea what you're talking about. And it just misleads people, Laura. It misleads people.
As crazy as the left.
It's as crazy as the left. And thank you, Susie, by the way. Thank you. Just a chick from Cali. Thank you, Susie. Appreciate that. And thank you. That's the thing. That's the whole point. I mean, it's just, it just creates, right? It's like it creates.
It creates more chaos.
Chaos. It's chaos. Yes.
Is feeding the other
Yeah.
chaos.
People don't know what to believe. And then it
it's just
distracts them.
rat wheel after the other.
It's a rat wheel. Yeah. And then it distracts them from like recognizing what's actually going on, because you can't fix a problem, guys, until what? Before, it's just like anything else, like an addiction or anything that seems it's a problem-solving thing. You can't fix something until you acknowledge what? That it's a problem. And having all of these people, these pretenders, just running around making up stuff. I honestly do believe that a lot of them are saboteurs. They're doing it on purpose, like Ted Cruz, like Tel Aviv Cruz. They're doing it on purpose. Truth is, Charlie's dead. And a lot of these people now feel they have the balls. They can do this because he was a bridge builder. They never would have done this. Never. I will agree with Benny, though. My boy, Benny. Benny's cool, dude, in case you guys were wondering. If you don't know Benny Johnson, and I'm sure you watch his show. I'm sure many of you do. He's a legitimately funny dude. Legitimately funny guy. And he said something on Piers Morgan, which is that, like, the yelling on the right, it's actually a very intelligent thing, what he's saying, which I don't know why anybody else took so long to say this. But Trump's tent was a big tent. And there's always going to be infighting in a tent this size. He put together a coalition of a lot of competing interests. Everybody wants their own stuff done, and some of their interests are actually contradictory, So it shouldn't really be a surprise. It's fine to disagree. What's not fine is like legit blackpilling and being like, I'm going to take my ball and go home, right? Which is what the establishment right does all the time. And then there are some others that are just, I really do believe this, that they're not even honest brokers. I noticed there's a ton of overlap between like some of these so-called influencers and even politicians that are engaging in this that did not even support Donald Trump until it became evident that they had no choice because he was going to win again. So I don't think that's a coincidence at all. Like if this person was like a Nikki Haley supporter or a Ron DeSantis supporter or a Ted Cruz supporter way back in the day, like, of course, guys, Mark Levin, for instance, never supported Donald Trump. Never. He was an anyone but Trump in 2016. And then he turned into a DeSantis guy in 2024. He was never a Trumper. There's just too much overlap there for me to think it's a coincidence. And then there is a ton of money going on in social media from various groups, domestic and foreign, to push agendas. And that agenda is not friendly to the president and his coalition, his real loyal supporters in his coalition. Not even loyal. It's true believers, because loyalty is overrated in politics. All right. And people aren't loyal. And it's like unfair to expect the voter to be loyal if you weren't loyal to them. So it's perfectly fine for you to get backstabbed by a senator or a congressman and then still be, pally with them, because that's the nature of Washington. But if a voter is mad at you, God forbid there's something wrong with the voter, then there's probably something wrong with you. You probably deserved it. Barack Obama deserved it. Joe Biden deserved it. They all deserved it. George W. Bush deserved it. They lied to these people. And Donald Trump does not want to go down as one of those, does he? If you read that damn thing on Locals last night, you know what I'm talking about. I'm about as A-type as it gets. That made me emotional. I didn't cry, but it made me emotional. Sad. It was sad. Gave it to Poso too. And he was like, oh, man. I'm like, yeah. Talk about that over tea with the president tomorrow. 3:21. I'm going to have to go get my little one soon. I need to go take a walk and walk off this. I didn't get to the gym today. I've been too busy. Another focus group. I had a great focus group earlier today. It's like the best one. After one last night, devolved into madness and almost violence. The left is going crazy in this country. They're going crazy. And the right's they're going to, what did we say the other day? It's like, they're not going to follow suit. They're going to match it soon themselves. Like,
Yes.
At some point, the right will get more violent. Yeah.
Match what they've been met with.
Right now, the left, man, it's crazy, man. Crazy. You can't even have a focus group. I have to reassert everyone has different opinions. I had a great one today. Great one, man. Wonderful conversation. It's awesome. All right. Yeah, I'm going to kick rocks. 3:22. I got to do it. Don't forget, though, if you like the videos, to like them and share them far and wide. Locals, let me go get the little one from the bus stop when I come back. Since we changed those servers, like I said, I have not signed in to the email that I use to make public links for crosstabs, and I got to go do that. All right, so that's what got me sidetracked. But I'll go do it after I'm back, and then I'll send you the social media stuff. I'll work on this stuff. All right, see how fast we can get you up some of this stuff. All right. Again, the link is in the description below. If you're not a supporter on Locals, you're wrong. You can do so right here, peoplespundit.locals.com. Have a great rest of your Friday, guys. And as you know, don't do anything stupid I wouldn't do. Right? What's that saying? Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
That leaves too much to be open.
Very funny.
No,
All right.
You're good, Danny.
I try. Can't stay 16 forever. All right, guys. See you later. I'm laughing at the YouTube comments. You guys are great. Yeah, but I mean, Mark is right there. Don't quit. Love you guys too. Never quit. Never quit.